What's up, YouTube family? So yeah, y'all. Let's just go ahead and jump right into it. Where did we come from? Why are we here? How did we get here? I mean, like, shit, if God made us, where the fuck did God come from? I mean, think about it, y'all. Every living organism came from some other type of organism. Everything came from something else. From the car that we drive, metal comes from the ground. The wood that we use came from a tree that got chopped down. The trees came from other organisms that have evolved into you know what I mean? Everything's a mutation of a mutation of a mutation. Well, where did the first original copy blueprint come from? Where did the very first thing come from? Did it just pop out of nowhere? Maybe. But like I said, I don't know. I'm not God. I didn't create everything. Not that I know of, not that I remember. I'm not a super high level scientist. I'm not a quantum physicist. Is it? Yeah, is that the word, quantum physicist? Whatever. Yeah, a person that studies quantum physics. I'm not neither one of those things, but I am a human who has a lot of common sense and uses a lot of very deep observation. I have very good observational skills. So where did we come from? How did we get here? I don't fucking know. But I do have 3 theories. I got 3 main theories. And listen, y'all, if I catch any of you other YouTubers out here saying this shit, I know y'all stole my shit, because these are all original theories that I came up with by myself. I'm going to start with the weakest one, or the one that holds less weight, I would say. My first theory, the theory of chance. Like I said in my last video, it's like if somebody says that if you knock on the steering wheel 3 times, a fucking green monster will pop out. Now, I literally just made that up just now. Now, the chance of me actually knocking on the steering wheel and then a big green monster popping out, that's like 1 out of a billion. It's possible, but the chances are slim to none. So the chances of something just happening out of nowhere is a slim chance. Very, very slim chance. But like I said, that theory's been kind of sort of like debunked sort of by myself. I kind of debunked it myself because it kind of sort of contradicts into my next theory. The theory of chance, because it's still like, what are the odds of something just popping out, spawning from nothing? Well, here's my second theory. This one actually makes a little more sense. So my second theory of how we got here, and again, y'all, none of my theories explains why. I have no explanation as to why, but I do have some logical theories on a possible how we got here. Not why, but how we're here and how anything could exist. Second theory, I call it the polar opposite paradox theory. I'll say this again. It's called the polar opposite paradox theory. What that means is existence. Anything that possibly exists is basically a paradox, because logically nothing should exist. I mean, think about it. If something had to come from something, then nothing should exist. Like, nothing should be here. Not even nothing itself should not exist. Nothing. But see, that's the contradiction. In order for nothing to exist, there has to be a form of something in order to validate that nothing. You get what I'm saying? Like, I have to have something and then I have to take it away in order for you to say there's nothing there. Like, if I fill up a cup with water and I say there's something in this cup, then I dump the cup out. Now there's nothing in that cup. But for the cup to not exist, for nothing to ever exist, will kind of somewhat be a contradiction. So, if you have all this concentrated form of nothingness, because logically nothing should exist at all. So if you have nothing, and for so long you have this nothingness, it sort of compresses into a concentrated form of nothing that ends up sort of causing some sort of like polar magnetic opposite of nothing. All this nothingness transitions into something. I'm using gestures with my hands and shit because I don't know. There's really no simple way to explain these large, big-scaled ideas. Like, where did we come from? I mean, it's easy to just say, well, God, man, that's a very childish way to think. I think it's a very juvenile way to think, and a lot of y'all just need to grow up. So I'm looking at it from a completely scientific standpoint, but also a very basic idea. So you got all this nothingness. I mean, think about it. So much nothing that it slowly transitioned into an artificial simulation of something. We are basically nothing. Life is basically nothing, entertaining itself with an artificial simulation of something. Y'all, I got to get my speech together if I'm gonna do this. But this is all therapy. It's all part of my growth. I'm only gonna get better. But yeah. So the polar opposite. Fuck, I forgot the name of my own damn theory. I've said this shit a billion times before. The polar opposite. The polar opposite paradox theory. Yes, because it's a paradox. It's like you can't have nothing without something, but nothing exists, so it has. So basically, we are nothing, just entertaining itself with an artificial simulation of something. That's all this is. That's my second theory. Now, again, these are just theories. These are not facts that I can say this is for sure, this is definite. Now, here we get into our next theory. When I say something being definite, in order for something to be definite, it has to, everything is made up of atoms. Before I get into that, y'all, my next theory is called the timeline theory. The timeline theory, which everyone who knows what a timeline is basically, you learn this shit in school. You have 0 in the middle. You have infinite positive numbers on the right. And you have infinite negative numbers on the left. Think about this, y'all. Like, everything is made of atoms. Everything is made of an electron, neutron, and a proton, which make up atoms. An atom is like a little tiny grain of sand. You can't see them unless they're condensed together. Anything that's like gas or anything that you can't see, like air, oxygen is filled with atoms, but they're vibrating so fast and they're kind of spread out a little bit. That's why you can't see the air. Anything that's solid, like this steering wheel, I can't put my hand through, like this glass. I can't just put my hand through this glass because there's so many condensed atoms together, and then my hand is made of a bunch of atoms compressed together, and it causes density, which that's where the word matter comes from. Now you have a thing called antimatter. See, this is where negative numbers come into play. So like I said, you got all these different atoms. Think about like a few little grains of sand just laying on the ground. You got a few little grains of sand here and there. You're not even going to be able to see them. It's like almost invisible. Like these little tiny little grains of sand, or salt. You take a little tiny grain of salt and like you can't even see the shit. Now, if you take 1 trillion billion grains of salt and you put them all together, you can actually see the salt. You can actually see the sand because it's all these little tiny pieces together. That's matter. Now you got antimatter. It's not something that was invented by mankind. It's not something that was made up by scientists. It's something that was discovered. So like the Chinese, they were the ones who first really discovered negative numbers, or they were the first to really acknowledge them in mathematics. No, the Chinese, this is during the Han Dynasty, sometime in 200 BC. These are facts. They didn't come up with negative numbers, but they discovered negative numbers, because a negative number is a representation of antimatter. So think about this. The number line theory, which was the number line didn't come about until about the 1600s. By a guy named John Wallis. John Wallis, Wallis. John, John, last name Wallis, Wallis. Not like Wallace, like most people's last name Wallace. But y'all, I'm gonna try to, I gotta wrap this up, y'all, because the time, but basically, yeah. So you got negative numbers. You got an infinite number of negative numbers on the left, and you got infinite positive on the right. You got 0 slapped in the middle. I feel like all that exists is what came from negative. Negative is anything that's less value than 0. You may think that's impossible. What can be less than nothing? Well, that's my point. Negative. This is where antimatter proves that antimatter is a real thing. It takes a lot of antimatter to make up nothing, and then it takes something else, another piece of matter, in order to make matter, what we call matter, like things that are actually physical that we can see, hear, and touch, like things that we can't just penetrate through. So you got negative numbers. We came from an infinite negative. May seem impossible. It's like, dude, people will say, well, infinite never ends. So how could we come from an infinite state of negative? We came from an infinite state of non-existent, of being less than nothing. It's kind of similar to the whole the polar opposite paradox theory that I came up with. My theory that I called, which is the number line theory, is basically when there was nothing, that's when we transition over into zero, because we have been less than nothing for almost basically like an infinite amount of years. But since time is infinite, and since there's really no such thing as time, and the state of existence never ends, we transition into zero. It went from negative quadrillion, kabillion, kajillion to negative 500 million, negative. Eventually, at some point inside, I don't know how, it's a natural phenomenon. It's so fucking bizarre to think. But at some point, we transitioned over to zero. Then we went from zero. Then once we transitioned and crossed over from zero to one, the very first positive, which is the first, I think like the first electron, the very first state of existence, when they say the Big Bang or when the universe first started, that's when we transition over from negative to zero to positive. So now we are pushing forward into an infinite state of positive. Because I think the number line is actually not a line. I think it's an incomplete theory. The number line itself should be a circle. You have zero in the middle, negative over here, positive over there, and then on the other side of the pole, you have infinity. Because zero is the opposite of infinity. So those are my three theories, y'all. I mean, I'm gonna get more into detail about this another time. I promise y'all I will. But these are my three theories. First one is the theory of chance. 1 out of quadrillion fucking chance we just happen to pop up. I mean, it's possible. It's a good theory, but, again, the chances of that happening is slim to none. So by that same theory of chance, I have to kind of sort of dismiss that theory. Then you have the polar opposite paradox theory, which is nothingness transitioning over into something. Then you have the number line theory, which is very similar, which is where we came from an infinite state of nothingness, transition into a complete nothingness. Now we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it just never ends. So, I mean, again, y'all, I know it's just very hard to explain these things because these are such grand scientific ideas. So it's hard for me to just articulate these in words because I'm only using 5% of my basic human mind. But yeah, those are just basically my theories, y'all. That's how I feel we came from, or why we exist, or not why, but how we exist. Why doesn't really matter. I know that we have to create a good world. So if this is all a dream, sort of like an imagination, basically, like I'm imagining you, you're imagining me. Even the guy that lives down the street that I've never met, I'm subconsciously imagining his existence. He's subconsciously imagining mine, which is also another, I mean, it seems like a fourth theory, which is like the imagination thing, but it's very simple. It's basically the same concept as the polarized, the polar opposite paradox theory. But I'm more leaning towards a number line theory. That's just where I'm at. So like I said, y'all, these are things that y'all can think about. Anyway, yeah, man, I'm going to try to enjoy my weekend. I'm going to get groomed up and stuff. It's been a hard work week, and I will see you on Monday. Peace. Oh, yeah, man. I heard something about Kevin Samuels, y'all. If any of y'all don't know, man, he's definitely very, very important in the manosphere. I hope the rumors aren't true. I'm not going to speak on it till Monday until I get everything confirmed this weekend. But yeah, man, if what I'm hearing is true, that's really sad, man. That's really sad. And anybody who's glorifying Kevin Samuels' supposed alleged death, you should be ashamed of yourself, man. Man, Kevin Samuels is a great man. He's done a lot of great for me and a lot of great men and women around the world, and y'all don't even fucking realize it. But anyway, y'all, I will see y'all Monday. Peace.